Hi, folks. I think we're live right now. This is Ed Considine broadcasting from the Bowling Building in downtown Dudley in Boston. Welcome to our Week 2 Google by the Beach learning series. I'm so glad to be live this week. Last week, as you know, I was having some technical difficulties. They have been resolved. I'm good to go. I hope you're all able to hear me and see me. Liz Holman is here. I know you know Liz from stepping in last week and taking care of the live broadcast and presenting Google Drive to us. And she's going to be managing the back channel today in today's meet. If you haven't gone to the today's meet yet, please do so. It is a great way to ask questions, to say hi to everybody else, and just to get some of your issues put out there so that others can see them and maybe get some issues resolved. I also want to welcome Natasha Scott here today. There you are, Natasha. I just clicked on
Hi,
you.
everyone.
Natasha is the Assistant Director for Social Studies here at BPS, and she is a great colleague here, a collaborator with us in the digital learning team. Natasha is always looking for opportunities to integrate technology into her professional development so that teachers can then return that favor and integrate it with their students and promoting our goals of digital literacies for all adults and all children and BPS. So I'm going to get started right now with a little bit of review and sort of some nuts and bolts about the course and the learning series that we have here. I'm going to share my screen and go into BPS Learns, which is our course management system for this course. And here we go. So I'm presenting my slides right there. I'm just going to switch over to our course before I share my slides with you. And what we have here in our BPS Learns, as I scroll to the top of our series, is just I want to help you navigate a little bit. The top block in our Google Learning series is our top block, and that is always remaining there at the top of our course window. In the course top block, we have a news forum, which I'm sending out some of our newsletters. You should have gotten them this morning at about 5:05 a.m. And so you can review the news forum there if you want to reply to any of those, or rather just take a look at that. You can take a look at the newsletters that were sent out. And you can also, back to that main page, look over some of the overview and information about the course, what the expectations are, what you have to do to receive your professional development points if that's what you're interested in. And here I want to show you some of the Google resources and session recordings. If you miss a session, you can access the recorded sessions here. I'll be posting it. Here's the week 1 broadcast right there from last week, which Liz did. And it's also listed on the course page itself. But we also have a lot of resources that we're adding to each week as we explore more. There are so many resources out there. We don't want to put just anything out there, but we're really trying to vet them and to make sure that these resources are relevant to you, easy to follow, and things that you can come back to. So we have a lot of resources happening. We have a BPS Classroom resource guide, which gives you some links to some YouTube videos. There's a lot of good stuff going out there, so please take a look at the resources here. I also want to encourage you to join our BPS digital learning page, digital learning community. This is our community in Google+. It is a place where you can go and participate in learning activities, have ongoing discussions with like-minded colleagues, and really start creating that professional learning community that is part of what we do these days as educators. Connecting to other educators is a must as we all learn to share, collaborate, communicate, and connect with one another using these great opportunities that digital tools bring to us. We also have a YouTube channel, which this broadcast is being broadcast on right now, our OIT Digital Learning channel. And you can access that and review some other videos that we have up there. Soon, coming soon, we're going to have a series of tech tip videos. All the things that you like to call the help desk for in Boston Public Schools, you might find here on our playlist of tech tip tools, and that would be from looking at journals in Aspen to using Google Drive with elementary students. We are trying to hit a lot of the issues that come up at the help desk and even more. So there are a lot of resources here. Please take advantage of that and take a look at our resources. Also in BPS Learns, we have a learning forum. And this learning forum is a place where you can pose questions. It's a discussion forum. There's a lot that happens in here. I like what I see so far. People are posing replies to me, and we had a question about sharing a Google Drive folder that I posted this morning from one of our participants, and I see someone has already addressed it. If you have a new discussion topic, you'd like to ask a new question, please add a new topic. If you would like to respond to one of the questions here, please click on that and reply. This is an open forum, so please take a moment during the course, the week that we have coming up, and log into the Learning Forum. See what other people are talking about. Again, part of this learning series is not just learning how to use the tool, but learning how other people are using these tools, how they are strategizing, how the students are performing, and what difference is it making on their education, which is really our ultimate goal. We always like to ask why instead of how first when we talk about technology. Why do we want to use this? What is our ultimate learning goal? And then we can go to the hows and nuts and bolts about how to use a specific tool. So the Learning Forum is a great place to engage with other people. I'm going to just continue down our page a little bit. That covers the top forum. Last week's session on Google Drive is still there. I'm just going to go back one. If you haven't been able to watch the video, there it is there. We have Liz's presentation right there in the week 1 broadcast. We also have the slides that were part of that presentation last week, and an exit ticket. If you didn't get to complete it then, please, this is a Google form, please do that. And if you're wondering about how you get credit or what sort of work you have to do in this course, a lot of this is self-directed, but what we are doing is we're doing this live broadcast, and then we're asking you to participate in some of the learning activities today. But after today, there's 2 steps that we'd like you to do. We'd like you to go through a Learn and Explore session, and that would be these resources here in the first session. There are several resources for you to explore, take a look at them, and then the challenges come at the very end. And this is where the assignment comes in that you get for credit. So I'm just going to switch back. This was week 1, so I'm going to move on to the next session for a moment and show you our current assignments, so we're clear on what we have expected for today. So I'm going to the next section, week 2, Google in the Classroom. So I listed here an introductory thing, a task that we need to do. So you're viewing the broadcast today or the recorded session at some point this week. You're participating in the back channel, which is today's meet, which I find really exciting to find out what people's questions are and where they're logging in from. And also the exit ticket so that we can sort of have an attendance for today as well. After the broadcast is when your independent learning starts happening. Add to the Learning Forum in the main topic area, as I just stated. Explore the learning resources for week 2 on Google Classroom. Join us on Thursday if you like. This is optional. If you need a little extra support or you'd like to a little more one-on-one. We had a nice small group last week. Thursday at 3 o'clock, and we'll be doing a Google Hangout for that as well. Participate in the Google Classroom Forum. This is a new forum, and I'll show you that in 1 second, that I added for this week's lessons. And then you have to complete one of the learning challenges for Google Classroom. So there's the back channel. Hopefully you're watching it now. Here are the exit ticket for this week's broadcast. Make sure you fill that out today, and by clicking on it, that's a link to a Google form. And in this section, we have the Learn and Explore resources. We have just a few resources here we'd like you to look over. Some of the basics of Google Classroom, the setup recommendations for BPS teachers. And this resource here really gets a little bit more into the nitty-gritty of how-tos and some great resources and classroom examples in this Google Classroom guide, Drive and Classroom Working Together. And then you have the next section, which is your challenge. So pick one of these challenges. There is a forum and workshop challenge. Here you have the forum for this week's session right here. I'm going to open that up. And here is the forum. We'll have a topic right here. We looked at Google Drive in our classroom, how we use them with students. So here is a new discussion topic. We'll have that going right after the session today. We'll put in a topic, and we would like you to participate in that. How might you use it in your classroom? What other chances do you have to implement Google Classroom this year? And then here are your challenges. Setting up your first classroom. If you click on this, you'll be able to access the assignment. I'm going to go in here because some people were asking, how do I submit a screenshot? And there's an example here that Liz helped us do last year as we rolled out the Spring into Google series. And this is an example of how to submit a file if you're doing this online, or rather if you're submitting a file, a document or something. You can choose to upload a file here. But what most people are doing is they are submitting an online document. So if you want to type right into it, you can add a submission right there, and there it is there. You can type right in here. This is my response, and I'm going to upload a screenshot. I could add a link right here to my Google Doc, which a lot of people are creating. They're creating Google Docs, so feel free just to put in the URL right here and then send that to me. I received that. You don't have to share the document, but if you do share it, make sure that I can view the submission if it is a Google Doc, and that's what you do. I'm not going to save it. I'm just going to cancel that. So that's how you submit your work. Again, I'm available if you have any questions about that. But that's basically how we navigate around our course. I hope this little orientation was helpful. Again, we were rushed last week and we didn't have a chance to really orient you to the course. So we're back in BPS Learns and back in our front page of Google by the Beach. And now I'm just going to pause for a second and check in and see if there is anything else we need to, any questions we need to address.
Good timing, Ed. I was actually just about to interrupt you.
Great.
So there was one question about how the office hours are working on Thursdays and how you're formatting those. I think some people were looking for a Hangout and they didn't find the big blue button plugin. So could you talk about how you're organizing the Thursday office hours?
Sure. We're going to do another Hangout. We're not going to use the big blue button this week because I want to be able to share my screen and to be able to have as many people in there as possible. We might do a Hangout on air and a back channel, depending on how many people we have involved in that. I'll put a little information out on the BPS Learn site, and I'll also send a link to the Google Hangout for Thursday's session. Thank you for asking. The Thursday Hangout session, it's a great opportunity for you to ask questions and to get some of these more nitty-gritty issues resolved. I hope that answers that question, Liz.
Hope so.
We'll be doing a Hangout.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing.
Where will the link be posted for that?
I'm sorry, say that again?
Where will the link be posted for that?
I'll be posting it right in the BPS Learns in week 2, but I'll also send it out via the news forum.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions from the forum that I might need to address before we go on?
At the moment, I think we're okay.
Okay.
Nothing major.
Okay. Well, I'm going to go into talking about Google Classroom, and Natasha Scott is here, and Liz as well, have been working with Google Classroom a lot. So if you have questions, please don't hesitate to interrupt us. We are here for you. We want to make sure that we're getting your issues resolved. Google Classroom is a great tool. I'm just going to go in and see if we have any more pending memberships. One of the tasks that I asked people to do today was to go in and sign up, and I hope you've been able to do that. I see no pending requests, and I've approved several already today. So I think we're ready to start talking about Google Classroom, but more importantly, I think we're almost ready to start using it right away. So I'm going to go back to my screen share and just go through a couple of things about Google Classroom. Okay. So you see my Google by the Beach presentation up here. I'm not going to go into full screen, but I want to just communicate that the BPS digital learning team is excited about getting as many people to use Google Classroom as possible. It's almost not an option anymore to try to engage with students beyond the school day, and that is the breaking down the walls of the classroom. We now have the opportunity with the internet, with web tools, to help students access learning content and learning opportunities anywhere, anytime. And Google Classroom is a simple tool that really does allow us to engage with students beyond the school day. So I already covered some of these reminders, submitting assignments. We did that. We'll talk more about that later. So we're getting into what is a classroom, and then we're going to have a little opportunity to demonstrate it. So getting into classroom, just some basic things about classroom. It's really a place where you can share assignments with students and you can collect assignments with students. So it's the distribution and submitting of assignments online. Essentially, you can go paperless. And I just want to pause for a second and really try to take in the weight of that word there, paperless classroom. So many teachers get tied up at the printer in the morning. So many teachers get tied up with stapling and creating packets for students. With Google Classroom, combined with the Google Apps for Education that are integrated into Google Classroom, we can really establish a paperless classroom where things are shared digitally. Google Classroom gives us the opportunity to communicate with students and engage them in discussion and group work on the classroom feed. We have the ability to post announcements, and from the announcement page we'll be able to have students reply to certain things. So we have a stream, a prompt that students can participate in. One of the big things about this is the physical relief that one gets from using Google Classroom. It's not as heavy as your backpack and dragging home stacks of student papers. Students won't be losing their homework. Those days are gone. It's really a matter of accessing things online from any device, from an iPad to a computer desktop to a phone or another type of tablet computer. They are accessible anywhere, anytime. As we know, Google Classroom and saving papers is great for the environment. So we are working on those awesome opportunities with Google Classroom. I know Liz showed you this graph last week. This is a sort of building student literacies, student digital literacies graph. And what we have here is the opportunity that Google does. Where does Google fit into this? Well, in a lot of places we can find that Google Drive and Google Classroom really helps us build these student literacies. If you just look at them closely, I'm not going to go into each one, but our goal is really that the sort of the high end of strategic digital literacies, creating, communicating in multiple modes and media, critical and creative thinking going on. So you can see, hopefully, that what we're talking about in Google Drive and Google Classroom, giving students opportunities to look at lots of information as a launching pad for going deep into collaborative opportunities and content on the internet under the teacher's direction. So we have those opportunities to continue to build student digital literacies. And so now we get into sort of how the classroom works. And I'll switch over to an actual classroom where Natasha and I are actually going to take you through building a classroom and setting up some assignments. So we have classroom working. You can create a class and then you create assignments. Once you create a class, you are automatically assigned folders for that class. And when you create an assignment, you're automatically created an assignment for that, or no, a folder for that assignment in Google Drive. So Google Classroom does all the organization for you. If you're teaching a Biology 1 class, then as soon as you create that classroom in Google Classroom, you'll have the Biology 1 folder. Within it, you'll have a series of student folders and then an assignment in each one of those. So the organization in Classroom happens automatically, syncing with Google Drive. You can push students out, you can push assignments out to students with one click. So you don't have to share individually, you can send it all out, as you'll see in a few minutes. We'll do that with you. You can send assignments out to the entire class, and you can designate how you want that document to be received, whether each student receives their own copy or everybody receives the same version of the copy and everybody can collaborate on it. So you have different options, not a whole bunch of options, but a few very simple options that help you manage the way you like to work with student documents. It gives you the opportunity to provide feedback. And the more and more I hear from attending conferences and following my favorite ed tech leaders on Twitter and in in Google Plus, providing feedback is the most effective tool for learning. Getting feedback to students as soon as possible is a great way to help shape the future of their learning, right? If you give feedback, you need to address this issue now, you can direct students towards their needs with feedback. Google Classroom allows you to give feedback right online, right within your Google Classroom setting, and not have to go into Drive to do it. So it's a really easy way to start managing the amount of work that you do with the classroom. There's more learning and less teaching going on using Google Classroom. And so it allows you to assign dates to assignments. You can set dates in the future, and you can organize your whole sending out of information very easily. You can create a classroom. You can create a classroom wall where people can post announcements, and you can link videos and have students check in or out. And one of the things that I know that Natasha is going to bring up is that idea of the wall. And I'm not going to go too much into detail because Natasha has some great ideas about making it a landing zone in which you can link to other interactive places. We know there are many tools out there on the internet, on the web, that are valuable tools for English language learners, practicing speaking, collaborative tools that allow people to connect on a wiki or on a voice thread or a blog, but you can link those things right from your classroom wall and have them access it. But students know where to go, and day one they start in Google Classroom, and that's where the learning starts to take off. So I'm going to pause for a second and just take a look back at today's meet and check in with Liz and Natasha and see if there are any questions or comments before we go into actually creating a classroom. How are we doing?
Nothing that we absolutely need to address right now. There's some conversation about whether or not you can use Google Classroom with students when they don't have access at home. And so one of the things that I was talking about is that a lot of our teachers use the Chromebooks in class and are using computers in class to engage with Google Classroom, not necessarily using that as like a homework management approach. But that's something you can do in class, during class, and that a lot of teachers have solved it that way. There is an app for Classroom that students can use to get in and see assignments. So if they have a smartphone, they could see an announcement via Classroom. And I've even seen students write essays on their phones, which seems goofy to me, but hey, it works for them. So they could conceivably even submit an assignment on their phone if they're smartphone users. But if that's not something that's ubiquitous across the classroom, or it's not something that you feel comfortable sending home, you can always do it in class with the Chromebooks. And yeah, we're definitely needing more access to Chromebooks. That's another thing somebody just brought up, that they want more Chromebooks and more access to the Chromebooks.
Natasha, do you have anything you'd like to share before we go into creating a classroom? Thank you.
Just the idea that just the idea that the Google app is also great for the teacher end too, because as a teacher you don't have to be physically at your computer to be looking through assignments. I've been in situations where I'm waiting in the lobby for a meeting and I'm reading through student submitted work on my phone, and so it's definitely very flexible, which is one of the nice things about the Google Classroom. And sorry, my internet has been going in and out over here, so.
No, we don't want that to happen.
No.
Ed, are the slides posted in BPS Learns?
Were the slides posted? No, they weren't, Liz.
Okay, no. So are you going to can you put those up after so that
sure will.
Can access the slides?
I sure will.
All right, so that should answer one question we just got.
Sure. As far as the question about Chromebooks is an interesting one. Just a little heads up, I'm not sure if that was Vicki who asked that question. Talk with your school leader about whether or not OIIT has any Chromebook carts that might be available for your school. I'm just saying. Pose that question to your school leader. He or she might have access to Mark Racine, who we may have an inventory of Chromebook carts available for school purchasing, so we want to make sure they get in the hands of schools ASAP. I know Donors Choose is a great organization to help you get equipment or technology into your classroom, but also pursue this option as well. Let's investigate what we might have right here in-house. Okay? So I'm going to go into Classroom for a moment and start building a classroom and sort of talk about the different features. As we said, it's not a complicated tool. And it does sync with Google Drive, and so we have lots of opportunities to sort of bring all this Google learning together through Classroom. So I'm going to share my screen again. And go right into our Google Classroom page. And I think you see my slide, and I'm going to go into my mail, and I'm in a different account here. I'm in my OIIT DLT account, and I just want to show you, this is my mail, and so we can see through our mail how we can access Google Classroom. Some of you may not be sure about this nice little tool here. This is our Google Apps Launcher. It's always up here in the right-hand corner of our Gmail screen, and it allows us to access all of the apps that Google has to offer. There's our Drive folder, there's our Docs, Sheets, Slides, Sites, and more. If we continue to go down, we have our YouTube access channel as well. Maybe blocked while you're in school, but you do have access to a YouTube channel. And if we go further down, even more from Google, we have Google Classroom. Another way of going to it is also classroom.google.com, and there it is there. So I'm going to classroom.google, and because I've already logged into my email, my classroom should be right up and running. So I'm ready to start my classroom. I really like the simplicity of Google Classroom. If you have a classroom already, you would see them up here in the left-hand corner. If you're part of a classroom, you would see some, but I don't have any yet. This is a new account. So I'm going to create my first class, and I'm going to do it right here. And it's going to be Google by the beach. And this is going to be section 1. One recommendation I keep hearing from teachers is to make a separate class for each one of your class sections. So if you teach 4 biology classes in a day, or 2 science, 2 biology, 2 physics classes, create a separate class for each one. And then I'm going to create my class.
Can I jump in for a sec?
Sure.
In my teacher, and think about how you want to organize this and how it's going to look to the kids too. So for example, in my brain, that would be like math first hour, or English language arts, American literature second hour, because the kids are going to see that title for the class also when they log in, and so that's going to tell them which class you are. So if you're section 1 or section 2, just make sure you're very clear with the kids about which section they are so that they know which class to go into, especially if they have multiple teachers who are using this across their school. They might get a little bit confused if your numbering system is different from a teacher's, so it's just something you want to make sure you communicate with the kids also and that you think about as you name the class and the section.
Thanks, Liz. Just being as specific as possible, as clear as possible with your students will really help them. So the first thing I want to do here in my Google Classroom, and I'm just going to scroll down a little bit so you can see it. I could take a tour if I'd like, but I've already done this, so I'm going to just move ahead a little bit. The first thing I'm going to do is I have Natasha waiting for me, so I'm going to click on this. Well, let's see, it's giving me the tour. Let's see if I can get out of this. I got it. So I'm going to go into About right here, and it's going to allow me to add another teacher. So I want to go to my About section, and let's see, it looks like it wants me to do something different here. Oh, there it is. My screen's just not big enough. So I'm going to invite a teacher. So I hit the About section, and I have a co-teacher for this section. So I'm going to invite a teacher here, and I'm going to invite Natasha to join us. And let's see if I can find Natasha. There she is there. I'll click off Natasha and invite her to join, and there it is there. So when she goes to her Google Classroom now, she's going to see her this new classroom called Google by the Beach, and I'm going to save that there. Okay. So I have a Google by the Beach folder already. I haven't put anything into it yet, but I thought I would have a resource folder, just like you might have a resource folder for your teachers. And so over here, I can go to my stream. I can have some assignments here. This is my home tab over here in the upper left, and I have an assignment here. If I want to upload a new assignment and I don't have any yet, I can go back there and, whoops, excuse me a second. There we go. So I want to, I have my materials here. I want to add a assignment or a stream. So I can title my announcement here, for example, just a welcome to our class. And Natasha, let me know when you're in, and you can jump right in and work with me here.
Yep, I'm just waiting to receive confirmation.
Thank you. Welcome to our class. And if I wanted to add an assignment here, I can add something right from Drive, which is nice. So I want to go in here, and I have an assignment that I created earlier, and one of our people who we like to follow talking about Google Classroom is Allison Keeler, and she talked about numbering conventions, just like Liz was talking about clearly defining the name of your pages, you name your classrooms. You also want to name your assignments and come up with a convention. And 001 format allows you to create up to 1,000 pages and do that. So I have an assignment right here. Let's say that we want to invite some students here, and maybe all of you want to be students in our class and see how this looks from...
You're posting a post, not an assignment, just to be clear, because those are different.
Thank you.
Yep.
Yep, we'll get to an assignment in a second. But I'm going to give students access right here. Let's see it. So I have that. Let me post that. So okay. You should be able to just say hello there. I'm putting up an announcement and post it. Not letting me post. That's kind of funny. I'm going to refresh my page a little bit, see what happens there.
Yeah, the internet is not working smooth today.
I think we got a little delay there. So I have a Google Drive folder, and Natasha, what I want to do is, and I think I shared this document with you, I want to add an assignment, or first, you know what I wanted to invite the students to join us. So let's invite students to join us. I hope that people can see this class code here over on the right. I have a class code, and I don't know if you can see this as I zoom in on it. Maybe I can't zoom in on my, there it is there. EUFT2K. If you can see that code, you can go to Google Classroom and join as a student. So you can get to see the student end of things. And I can control whether or not students can post and comment, or I can change that permission as well to students who can only comment, or only a teacher can post a comment. So for the sake of this workshop, I'm going to allow students to post and comment. The class code is EUF2T2K. Liz, maybe you could post that in today.
I did.
Thank you very much. Okay.
And I'm in Ed, just so you know.
Thank you. Thank you. What I want to do while you're doing that, I see somebody in already. Christine, this is excellent. So we've invited people, so we have students, we've set the permissions, we've shared the code. If I wanted to change the background of this picture up here, looks like a pretty generic picture. I can upload a photo, I can choose a banner if I like. I have things that I can upload. I can select the file from my computer, from my Google Drive. Again, I think the internet's a little wonky right now, but there it is. I'm going to cancel that so I don't get too labor intensive with the internet. So you can upload a photo, you can have a banner. We usually have a DLT banner page on our Google Classroom, so we have that. So I see people are joining. This is excellent. And so let's try to post that assignment, Natasha.
Okay. Let's see if your assignments still working here.
So we want to get to our stream. There it is there. And there's my announcement. Nice. I see Mary. I had an announcement. I can do this, Natasha, if you don't see that.
I think as the teacher, once you create the post, you can only post.
Okay. I'm going to do an assignment here. So let's Google by the beach. Let's whoops. Take a tour. I don't want to take a tour. I don't want to enable dictation. Thank you very much. So you get maybe too much. There it is. So Google by the beach, assignment 1. And I could describe it. Summer activities. That's all. Something simple. And I have an assignment, my Google Drive that I've already created, and I could search for it. I could all go looking, so I know it started with 001, and there it is there. That's the one I want to add to my assignment feed. So it's given me a little warning there that you can choose how to share this file with your class. And so students can view the same file, students can view and edit the same file, or each individual student can get their own copy. Natasha, what do you think we should do for the assignment for this class right here with the people enrolled in Google by the Beach? Give them their own copy or have them edit the same one?
Well, if it's something that I'm trying to pull up, I can't find the assignment. But if it's something, so in essence, my rule is if it's something that you want students to kind of take a lot of time, show their independent, deep reflection, it's going to be something that you want them to edit their own individual copy of the file. But if it's something that you want to collaborate on, you want everyone reading everyone else's ideas, that's when you're going to allow students to view and edit the same file.
Good, good. Thank you very much. So for this purpose, I got the prompt there, so students can view the file over here. I can change it on the right-hand corner of the assignment window. Students can view, students can edit file, make a copy for each student. More likely than not, we're going to start out the year in September making an individual copy for each student so we can start collecting individual grades, and maybe we'll work on collaborative work a little bit later. So I set that as a default. I can give it a due date here. I can change the due date. I can create an assignment that is posted for September 7th or whenever our first day is. But for today, I'm just going to assign it right now. And people should be receiving a notification that an assignment has been created, or you can access the assignment right here in the Google Classroom page. So let's take a moment and take a look at that assignment. I have 16 people in Classroom right now. And you can see as a teacher, I have access to some data that tells me that no one has done it yet. So we'll continue to sort of monitor that as things come in. It's due tomorrow. Any thoughts or any comments right there on creating an assignment?
All right, most of the questions that we're answering at the moment are like technically based about getting into the classroom, and I think most people have figured it out. But just so that everybody knows, it's important that you join as a teacher first, but then from there you can join a class as a student or you can create a class as a teacher, and it doesn't matter which, and you shouldn't have to sign back out and sign back in. You just need to click on that little plus sign in the upper right corner, and you should always see from your home page, you should always see that little plus sign, and that will enable you to either join a class or create a class. If for some reason you don't see create class, it means you've probably joined as a student, in which case you need to email Ed and he will email someone else who will figure out how to switch your account back because you didn't join as a teacher. But that shouldn't happen to you. You should have joined as a teacher to begin with, and you should be okay. And if you click on the plus sign, you should see join class or create class. If not, email Ed.
Great, and I'm checking that right now to see if we have any more requests coming in. Natasha, I shared that document with you.
Okay, great.
That's the assignment. And you should be able to see that. So let me take a quick look here. I'm going to zoom out a little bit. So we have 17 people in, so you can see how the assignments are doing, and we have the assignment right there, and this is how it might look. I clicked on the assignment. Notice it's opening them up automatically here. Sorry about the little internet delay. Better than last week, though. So there's the assignment there, and each one of you should have received a copy, and Natasha is in the document working with me. So everybody's received an individual copy, and then you can turn that in. And that's how Google Classroom assignments can help get you copies of the assignment to your individual students.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So creating an assignment was one. Natasha, do you want to talk about the stream at all and some of the things that you see as a valuable way to use the stream or the wall there?
Yes, I was actually just thinking about, so the question that you posed, what are a few highlights from summer? One of the wonderful things about the Google Classroom is that if you have students, so say for example you're using this in the classroom live, students have their Chromebooks out in front of them, it's something that you could actually post as an announcement. And I'm going to share my screen.
Okay, let me put you over there. Okay.
Okay. So I'm just trying to make sure I share the right screen here. Okay. Okay, so one of the nice things is that if you look at so if you wanted to post it as an announcement, what you would do is post, for example here, what were some of your highlights from the weekend? And then after you post it, it provides a space for students to comment on it. So here you're using the stream similar to a back chat, similar to just another place to have a conversation about it. So here, if people want to respond, just jot something in. What were some of their highlights of the weekend? You'll start to see how everyone else will see your comments. Okay, so you can add a comment right there. Now, so that's one of the ways you could also use the stream is to have it as a conversation. Okay, now I personally like to use the stream as a conversation starter. Just that quick activate that background knowledge if it's a simple question, or just something to kind of get people engaged right away in the beginning of the lesson or the activity, or if it's I do a lot of this for professional development as a starting to professional development. And again, so what you do is you just create an announcement and then people can add comments underneath. Fire pit at the Cape sounds very nice. I keep looking for the meteors, but I haven't been able to see them, so I'm going to write searching for. So this is one way. So again, think about this either in a live setting where you have an opportunity for classmates to have a conversation with each other, or if you have it in a setting where everyone's not in the same space, they can still share, interact, begin to engage with each other. Okay. So that's one of the joys of the announcements and using it to stream in that fashion. Okay.
And I stopped sharing my screen and I'm not muted anymore. But you've done a lot of work with classroom and history teachers and even school principals and things to access not just that stream for conversation, but to access other interactive opportunities for learning. Can you talk about how Google Classroom can serve as a landing zone for taking off to other interactive learning opportunities? Liz, feel free to jump in as well. I know that we have a lot to say about this and how Google Classroom can sort of be the base for a lot of ways to access some web tools that can help us with formative assessments, that can help us with collaboration, and to get those digital literacies for students.
So I think one of the things, the first thing that I'll talk about is the ability to use Classroom as the landing zone, and we've kind of emphasized this in the conversations that we have about Classroom, is that Classroom alone isn't going to do it. You have to add in those other little tools that are going to supplement Classroom and give it that interactiveness that you would get in an in-person workshop. So one of the resources that we usually like to reference is Padlet. So I don't know if either Ed or Liz maybe want to quickly throw together a Padlet link for us. But Padlet is one of those websites that allows participants to post their thoughts and ideas, similar to doing a sticky activity, a post-it note activity. So taking post-it notes and sharing, what is one struggle? I always like the question, what are some challenges and what are some successes that you've had in trying some sort of activity? So normally in the classroom, you would have students write on a post-it note and post it around the room. But with Google Classroom, if you use a resource like Padlet, it allows you to do the same action in a digital form. Okay? And what I can do is I can screen share from a previous classroom that I've done where I had that same situation, and I had participants post on a Padlet. Let's see if I can pull it up. Post their thoughts and ideas and successes and challenges on a Padlet, and then what they were able to do is read each other's work, and actually you could actually post images as well. And I'm
creating one also here, Natasha, that I can send to you.
I actually just put one in.
Okay, perfect. If you just
in the back channel feed.
As an announcement.
There's a link to one in the back channel feed right now, and I'm posting a question on it so that people can from there access it.
Okay.
Can you send us the link, Liz, so we can share our screen with it?
Yeah, well, it's in the back channel feed.
Okay.
I'm not sure how to send it. I can chat it.
That's okay. We can do that. Let's see. I got it here.
There's nothing in there yet. Hold on, I'll give it a name.
Sorry, I think there's a...
How you doing, Natasha? You're breaking up a little bit.
Yep.
I'm not hearing you, Natasha. I'm going to take back the screen from you, Natasha, until you stop buffering. Liz is creating a Padlet. I'm going to share that Padlet with you. And I know we're talking about Google Classroom, but as Natasha said, and we all really believe strongly, is that we have the opportunity to engage students in a lot of these different tools here that will help them develop their content literacies, but also their digital literacy. So this is an example of a Padlet, and I think let's see, we can.
Somebody got in there.
I think I said hello. Okay, I'm going to just say what are the most important. I'm going to try this one. Most important skills to teach in the first few weeks of school. So there's a question there, and if you double-click anywhere on that screen, you can see people going there. That's excellent. What are your challenges at the beginning of school? What do you like to? What are the most important skills? And that's a sort of question, and we don't have to answer that question and get really heavy-handed about things, but we do want to know how we can add Padlet to our Google Classroom. I see we're using this as a back channel now. One of the things that we've learned about Google Classroom, and I watch a lot of Google certified trainer videos and I read their blogs, we didn't add it to the classroom. We didn't. It doesn't exist in the classroom. It's a link. If we wanted to, I can highlight this link, copy it, and go back to my Google Classroom right there, and I can add it to my my stream. I can add it to my resource area. Students can link to it right outside. Once they can link to it through the announcement feed. So I'm going to share this with my class. I say here's the Padlet for today's session. And I'm going to post it. And there it is there. So now So again, this idea of a landing zone that we talk about a lot in technology, this isn't a learning management system. This is not a robust website that took us days and a lot of HTML to create. This is a simple classroom tool. It allows us to post assignments and post announcements. But within the posting of announcements and assignments, we can include URL. So it gives us access to all the valuable learning tools that we know are out there in the internet. And it's our job to sort of decide which tools we want to bring into classroom, which tools we want students to access, and launch them from the classroom to access it. So why don't you go
Sorry. I
go
want
right
to
ahead.
speak to something that came up on the Padlet because it's important to what you're talking about now. So somebody said, you know, it would be really awesome if we had reliable internet access in schools so that this could be a ritual in the classroom. And that's really key, is making it a ritual. So I will say that teachers who are very vocal with us and with OIIT about the fact that they want Wi-Fi that's reliable in their classroom, or they want to get an access point placed in their classroom, the more vocal you are, it tends to help. So if you're having trouble with Wi-Fi at your school, emailing us, or in this case, Ed, and letting him know and putting that on our radar will help. And that's just something that, you know, you kind of have to be pushy about it. But if it's something that's really a struggle at your school, making us aware of that. Sometimes the issue is just that we're not aware of it, or that we haven't heard enough about it for it to have popped up to the top of the to-do list. So I do think it's really important for it to be routine and to be ritual. And I just want to speak to that because it's a good point, and it's one that I think people should fight for at their schools.
And I want to just affirm that even stronger than Liz is saying with everybody. It's not an option anymore to have or not have access to the internet in your classroom. We have park testing. We did it last year live. It's the second year we piloted it in some schools, and we are going to be getting more and more into park and online testing. It is a must that we have access to the internet, not only for the days on park testing, of course, but if we expect our students to be able to do well in park, there is so much in park that requires students to have these digital literacies that we're talking about. So they do need to be using the internet routinely. They do need to be collaborating and interacting with web tools and promote and to practice digital responsibility by using proper research and proper citations. And so we should be demanding. It is an expectation that we should have it. If you don't have it in your school or in your classroom or access, there is something wrong. It's not that they forgot you, that something isn't working. So please call the help desk, talk to your principal, start ringing the bell, start stomping your feet, start greasing the wheels to get that taken care of. And so if I were everybody, I would be checking on my classroom and the day before students or the week before students start, make sure you have internet. And so you can get up and let your principal, school leader know you're using Google Classroom. You have to have internet. You want to develop digital literacies for students that Park requires. Get me online. So that's my take on that. Looks like we lost Natasha, Liz.
Yeah, I think we did.
Yeah, we lost her in the internet. I think she's been beamed up somewhere.
Lost in the internet. She got on the Padlet a second ago.
So we're sort of getting crazy with the Padlet. Remember that I'm looking at some of the questions in the Padlet. This has sort of become our new back channel. So you can see that what you've done here is sort of having a collective wall. The more we are transparent about our thinking and about our learning with students, then the more exciting and more connected they're going to be. So brainstorming together digitally, you can save this wall. You can refer to it later. This is a free tool, and I was told today, I think yesterday actually, that Apple announced that the Padlet app is available for the iPad, so that you can play with it on the iPad, so it's accessible and it's easy to use. Okay. So I'm going to go back to my class. I'm going to stop sharing my screen for a second. And I'm back. We're approaching the 4 o'clock hour. Liz, is there something else about classroom that you think I have missed that we need to talk about before we turn people over to creating their own classroom?
Well, because my brain doesn't always work as both listening and writing and typing, I might have missed you actually saying a number of these things, but just a couple of things that I think are worth highlighting or maybe even repeating if you already have said them, is that it's not, classroom as a tool can be very static. It can be just a feed and assignments, and it could be writing assignments, and it's just you and the students in a folder, and it doesn't have to be very interactive at all. It can literally just be a way that you're taking assignments from kids and you're having them submit stuff, and it's just interaction between you and the students and individual students. Or it can be what Natasha has done. It can be what we're showing with the Padlet. It can be something that's really an interactive space because it's a landing zone. So all you do is you create a landing zone in Google Classroom and you launch kids out to things like Padlet, like Socrative is a quiz tool. You launch them out to online assessments or to other links or to articles you want them to read and then discuss as a class from there. So really it's a landing zone, but it's not about using that as a space to give and collect assignments. It's about using that as a space to bring everybody at once and then have them go out into the wider web and do interactive things. So I think it can be very restricting in that it doesn't look like it can do much that's very interactive, but really it's about what you do with it. And I know, Ed, you were talking about linking to other things there. Using that power of it and just having it be the spot where you start is a great way to think about it as a space that's a little more interactive.
Thanks, Liz. Really, really good point. That's really what we were trying to stress here is it's not about the tool Google Classroom, but it's about how you manage it and how you set students up for interactivities. And I see we have Natasha back. Thank you, Natasha. I thought
Sorry,
we lost
guys.
you in the interwebs. How are you? So you're on, Natasha.
I'm just being dandy right now. I'm good. Sorry I got cut off in the middle of our discussion. Padlet, which I love. So I'm sure this was said while I was lost in the interwebs, but really it's these kind of tools that make that interaction and build that interaction. So yes, you can easily distribute assignments and collect assignments with Google Classroom, but to make it more interactive, you want to keep in mind that if your students are using this during class time, you make sure that they're still having the high level that would do is if you were facilitating a lesson and you were all sitting on the rug together and everyone's going through the motions together, that they have that same sort of interaction, that same sort of connections with each other and the other students so that they don't get lost in their own silo computer and forget that just because you're going digital does not mean that you're working independently.
Right.
You're moving to a stage of collaboration, and this is going to bring you to deeper and more efficient collaboration. One thing that I also do with thinking about interactivity and collaboration is using your Google Docs. Using your Google Docs effectively in this Google Classroom, since it all links up so nice and easy. So think about when we created an assignment and we had the option to allow students to edit one document. What I've done in the past is I've had students all work on a PowerPoint presentation. And what they've done is, when we switch in a little bit and someone else is sharing, I'll pull it up so you guys can see it. But what we did was we posted some quotes on a PowerPoint, and we had people respond to the quotes. Okay, so they commented just like they would comment on a Google Doc on this PowerPoint presentation, and here now they're reading each other's thoughts based upon quotes and guidelines that we've posted. We've also used it in another fashion where we posted. We've had in a professional development, had teachers post images of their student work and then have other teachers comment on the images that they saw. So now teachers across the district were getting the opportunity to see each other's student work and comment, have that conversation, even though they weren't all in the same location or looking at it at the same time. So I'll pull up those samples just so you can get an idea of just possibilities to build that collaboration within this Google Classroom landing zone in this Google Classroom space.
Thank you,
I can
Natasha.
share my screen and show that really quickly if you want, Natasha, since your internet is acting up.
There you are, Liz.
That would be great.
Yeah.
Liz, that would be awesome.
So I'm trying to find the PowerPoint that you were talking about.
Yep. So if you scroll down, it's going to be the one that says sharing student work.
Is it the virtual gallery walk?
Yes, that.
Yeah. Nope. Nope.
So, yep, if you go back and you're going to click on the link below that. So, so one of the challenges of Google Classroom is that you have to just can get a little tricky between posting something as an assignment, posting something as an announcement, and as you play with it more, you decide what you prefer a little bit quicker. This was and Liz has it screencast right now. This is a situation where we had teachers across the district take samples of their interactive social studies notebooks, post the samples, write a brief description underneath, and then the other participants in the course were able to respond to the images that saw and conversation on student work across the district. Where teachers always talk about how we don't get the opportunity to collaborate with others.
Natasha?
Yeah?
You're breaking up a little bit again. I'm really glad I put in the Ethernet cable today. We're in the same building. I'd be having the same issues. You're breaking up, so I'm going to take back the screen, okay?
Sounds good.
Are you showing my screen?
Now you are, Liz. Yep,
yeah, sorry, I'm on the back channel. But here's what Natasha was showing again, and this was just a teacher showing an example of a student's interactive notebook, and then over here you can see that multiple teachers responded to that interactive notebook and like shared their thoughts and their reflections. You could have students do the same thing. If you created a PowerPoint and you embedded it as part of an assignment or even part of a post, and you opened up the sharing settings so that anybody who had the link could comment on that, then students can go into a very interactive space there. They can comment alongside one another. They can see one another's work. And they could even maybe go in and say post a new slide of their own and create a slide there. So they're co-creating. They're talking to one another in Google. And that's just from sharing a link to a set of Google Slides within Google Classroom. So think outside the box with Google Classroom is sort of our point here. You don't necessarily need to just use it as an assignment pushing and taking back platform.
Thank you, Liz.
I'm going to stop sharing.
Yep, okay. I'm going to come back and take over. One of the things that last thing that Liz was showing, and it relates to a question in today's meet, and that is taking screenshots. There was a nice screenshot of that interactive notebook that Natasha put on a Google Doc, and then that allowed all the comments. So taking a screenshot, Liz explained it in today's meet. I put it up there. On your keyboard on the Mac, it's a simple Command Shift and 4 to give you an entire screenshot, or Command Shift 3 to sort of customize it. You can drag the marquee over a selected part of the screen just to take that. And your screenshot picture will be on your desktop as a PNG file. And that's how you do a screenshot on your Mac. There's also an application on the Mac, and if anybody's interested in knowing more about that, it's one that I use for screenshots. It's Grab. And that's under your Utilities menu in your Finder under your MacBook Pro. And I like that because I can easily take a picture of the entire screen or the selection, just like the keyboard one, but I tend to like it just a little bit better. So, but taking screenshots is a great way to sort of share what students are doing. It's a great way to, as Natasha was doing, have people comment on examples of student work or things that you're creating yourself. So I'm going to sort of pause for a second. It's just after 4 o'clock. I can. Whoops! I hope I'm not muted. I hope you all can hear me, Liz.
Yeah, you're good.
Okay, good. I'm just looking at today's meet. So are there any other questions about Google Classroom that before we turn you over to sort of create your own classroom and be able to sort of get student emails. How do we get our students involved? There's one person in Boston Public Schools that is key to your email accounts, and it's not me. Liz, don't tell them to contact me.
I can tell them, Chris. I just feel bad.
Let's put Chris's email address in there.
C. Costigan?
C. Costigan at bostonpublicschools.org. Chris, if you've been dealing with, thank you, Liz, if you've been dealing with any of the student account issues, he's the one that can help us do your BPS Gmail accounts. And so they are listed in Aspen, and you can see them in Aspen, but they have to be activated or passwords may have to be reset by Chris. So there needs to be a designated person at your school, especially at the school where you're going to be resetting your passwords with young children, someone who can manage those student accounts. So if you're likely to be that person, embrace it. It's a good role to have because you're helping students use their BPS Gmail and have access to all these great tools. Sheila, there is a way to do a screenshot on the MacBook, excuse me, on the Chromebook. I don't have a Chromebook here in front of me, but it is an option right from the keyboard, I think. So I can look.
Wait. But where would it save?
You have on the Chromebook there is a limited hard drive, so it would save right there on the hard drive.
Okay. I
So
didn't think there was one, but I know there are lots of apps that do screen capture that you
Right.
can like add to your browser that'll just take a shot of your screen. I can't name one right now. They're
Right.
escaping me, but you could Google screen capture app, and that could be an app kids could use.
Right.
And I'm not sure what the keystroke is.
I'm looking at Jim's question regarding setting up a class and the challenges. You're right, you don't have access to your individual students right now, your class students, but you can set up a class, you can schedule some announcement, you could schedule some beginning of the year activities in your class before you actually share it out with students. It's kind of the prep that you would probably be doing in real hard paper. So see what you can do getting set up with your classroom and share your classroom with us. So let us know how that goes. Thank you very much, Liz, putting that there. Appreciate it.
Yeah, snag it. Thank you, Natasha.
Great. Yeah, we could probably start going off on a lot of tools and things that we like, but I don't want to overwhelm everybody with Grab and all these Snagits and all these different things that we like. Let's pause for a second and let's see if there are any other questions, specific questions about Padlet, or excuse me, Google Classroom. I'm going to go, while thinking, I'm going to go back to the course and let's see what we have coming up for this week and what you can access.
So Jim, that question came up earlier about Aspen not having students listed right now and how to complete the challenges that involve setting up a class. When I had run this course before, it was during the school year, and so everybody had their student rosters. Some schools don't have their student rosters yet. I don't know if any do. Ed, do you know?
No, they don't. They're in the process of enrolling students right now.
Okay.
In specific classes.
You can still create the Google Classroom. You're just not going to be able to specifically invite the kids, which you might not even want to do necessarily just yet. You might just want to get the kids into their Google accounts and then send them that invite code and have them enroll themselves because it's a little bit easier on you. So you can still create the classroom and you can still create posts and assignments in the classroom and set up your banner in the background. And think about how you want to organize it. You can do all of that work. You just can't invite the kids. So just skip that part of the challenge if it's part of the challenge. And then the other answer I had is that you could be flexible with which challenges you chose the last time we ran this class. You could do like 2 in Drive and maybe skip Classroom if you weren't ready to try that tool. So I don't know what Ed's rules are on the challenges and assignments, but you might want to speak to that.
That's a good point. I did mention the issue of no students already, but Liz, that's a good point. If you want Google Classroom, if you're not sure if you're going to be using Google Classroom with students and you want to continue to work with Drive and set up some presentations, please feel free to substitute one of those assignments or one of those challenges with your using a Google Drive assignment. That's perfectly fine. I'm just going to go in and go through BPS Learns. Looks like we have a guest saying hi over where Liz is and saying hello, joining our Google series. But I'm sharing my screen so we don't see him. But hello. And so here we are again, the Learn and Explore resources, going paper with Google Classroom and the overview and basics. This is some good resources here. I'm just going to click on that link for a second. We've putting together some more. This is there's no better place to go sometimes than the application's own help menu. The Google Classroom Help Center is a very easy to use, very, very good, simple to follow help center. So take a look at some of the resources in the Help Center. After the broadcast, you can see some very, very easy tutorials there. We also have the other resources here in the steps and recommendations for BPS teachers. I think I'll click on that one just to show you some of the resources. We did this last spring for some of these, and here's a document here, recommendation for rolling out Student Google. Just about responsible use and communicating with parents. In addition to the AUP that students must sign in order to use the internet, we also recommend more specific communication with parents and with school leaders when you are engaging with students on a regular basis online. So it's always a good idea to have that up front and with people being clear about what you're doing with your students online. This is an excellent resource. This is perhaps the most robust resource we have on Google, on the Google Classroom. It's Drive and Classroom working together. There we go. Well, there it is. So your classroom guide, there's a lot of good resources here, and this is from another resource that we used. This is Moonshot Thinking. One of the Google certified educators put together this one. Intro to Classroom is a very nice quick video that shows you the basics of Google Classroom. And then there's this cheat sheet, which I like a lot because it gives a nice workflow, very easy to follow, and lots of other things here to help.
People are telling me they're not seeing your screen. Are you? I'm seeing it, but are you highlighting yourself and not one of us?
There it is.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, I have to go, so I need to say goodbye.
Okay.
And my boss waves and says he jumped in a second ago. He waves and says he's sorry, he's interrupting.
Thank you very much, Liz, for being on board. Liz is working in Waltham now. She's not in Boston, so we appreciate her participation and excellent support in last week's broadcast. So, Liz, again, thank you, and we look forward to seeing you next week.
Thanks, everybody. I will be back next week. I'll jump on either the back channel or the Hangout. And this was fun. It was great to talk classroom with everybody. I know you're in good hands with Ed and Natasha. They know all the wonderful things about classroom. So thanks for having me, and I'll see everybody later.
Thanks, Liz.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Liz.
So I'm sharing my screen now, folks, and I was just mentioning some of the excellent resources we have available in the course itself. And so this is one of the resources that you have access to. It is one of them that's under the, just go back one. It was under the Explore and Learn resources for week 2. Sorry for the fast scrolling, but there it is there. So I'm here, and we're going paper with the classroom, and it was this Drive and Classroom working together. I love this resource. It's how we can see a lot of what Google has put out. I'm glad that people are accessing it. There's a community of people out there for joining Google Classroom. It's in a Google Plus community, so there are lots of people sharing ideas, and also Google Classroom is very, very much open to feedback, and that's what they're counting on. So I'm hoping that there it is again. Okay, you should be seeing my page. So I'm going to stop sharing for a second, folks. I see some people are in the document itself, and I'm going to just check into the back channel. Natasha, how are we doing on the back channel?
Looks pretty good. Someone had a question about publishing assignments in Google Classroom and where the web page was from on BPS Learns.
Okay, what is the BPS Learns question? I didn't see that one.
The BPS Learns question was, where is this web page from? So I'm thinking the web page that you were just sharing on the Drive and Classroom working together.
Sure. That is in the Explore resources section of our page. So in week 2, Google Classroom. The Learn and Explore, it's right below the broadcast. And it's under the Learn and Explore resources, classroom setup, and it's right here, the classroom guide, drive, and I hope I'm sharing again. I see my own picture. Am I sharing? I don't think I was sharing, but I'm going to share it again. Sorry about that. Must be approaching 4:30. So I highlighted it here. There it is there. This is what I'm sharing. That's where that resource is. It's an excellent resource with links to the Google Classroom Help Center, along with some blogs and some easy to follow guides and communities to join. So I hope that you explore some of those resources, take on one of these challenges, or as I said earlier, please feel free to substitute one of these challenges to continue working in Drive. Next week's session, we're going to be exploring Google Sites as a way to sort of create a broader website or an interactive agenda. We have lots of good stuff in store for next week's broadcast on Google Sites. I will be online on Thursday for a virtual office hours. I will send a link or an announcement to everybody via BPS Learns, and I'll send out an email too. But please plan on joining us. If you have any other questions, you can ask them there, or please feel free to email me. But even better, since we're such a large group here, I'm going to go back to the top of the page here in our course and draw your attention to the Learning Forum. I will be monitoring this Learning Forum here. If you have any questions or some comments about today's workshop that you'd like to address here, please add a new discussion topic or join one of the discussions that's already in session. So as we get ready to close out today's session, I just want to tell you some of the things for today. Just, you've watched the broadcast, and thank you so much for joining us in the broadcast today. Please do the exit ticket right below the video window, and that would be right here. Click on the exit ticket. It'll take you to a Google form, which will just help us track your attendance and improve on today's workshop if there's anything that you feel that we could do better. So we are constantly looking to help you meet the needs of your students digitally. We hope that we can continue this learning opportunity, whether it's over the summer or right into the fall. We look forward to having you be part of our digital team as we start the school year 2015. Please join our Google Plus community. I'll talk about that next week and how we can get connected and using Google Plus as a way to connect with other educators. I'm going to go back to the screen and stop sharing for a moment and see if we have anything else we need to address. Natasha, anything else we need to address?
Just a reminder that with Google Classroom, I know Barbara was having this issue, but with Google Classroom, the first time you sign up for Google Classroom, if you sign in as a student, you won't be able to create your own class, but I'm sending them your way, Ed. If they can email Ed, then they'll be able to, you can send it to the next person who can fix that status. So if you don't see the option to create a class, that just probably means that when you signed up the first time, you registered as a student, and do not worry, it happens because I did that the first time too. And I went over knocking on Ed and Liz's cubicle and said, hey, why can't I create a class? So it does happen. So if your colleagues, if they're signing up for Google Classroom, remind them to sign up as a teacher, not as a student. As a teacher, you'll be able to create and join other classrooms.
And I'm checking the Google groups right now where I received those requests. Maybe you didn't even sign up at the beginning. I'm looking at the request, but if you did have a problem, I see a lot of people have just signed up. So I'm going to go in and approve that. There we go. So if you were just, if you signed up in the last half hour or so, you've just been approved, and now you can go in and that may have, Barbara, that may have been the issue that your request wasn't processed yet, so you should be able to create a classroom now. If you didn't get that approved, then you may be only able to join it. So I hope that answers the questions around the signing up for Google Classroom. I hope that this was a productive session for you. I'm getting ready to sign out. And I want to thank Natasha Scott for being a part of this. I appreciate you always being here, willing to collaborate, Natasha. I'm sure we'll be doing lots more of these together. and for Liz, who left the webinar already, but we will be keeping tabs on Liz and the work she's doing in Waltham Public Schools as their Director of Instructional Technology, and we hope we can have more opportunities to collaborate and learn together. Please join us for the virtual office hours on Thursday, and stay connected digitally. We're always available anytime, anywhere. I look forward to working and learning with you as the school year 2015 seems to get closer and closer, and we can't wait. So thank you very much. Have a great afternoon. Natasha, do you want to say goodbye?
Thank you, and thanks for the patience with the internet problems.
I'm glad it worked, mostly worked today. Thank you very much, folks, for your patience and perseverance, and we will continue to try to improve on our end to serve you better. So thank you, everybody. Have a great afternoon, and we will talk soon. Cheers. Bye.